My name is Nikhil Patel, and I live in Canada. Perhaps some of you have heard of my late grandfather's zoo, the Pondicherry. Unfortunately, it was closed down back in the 1970s. Or maybe you've heard of my father, Pai Patel, the man who survived 227 days in the Pacific Ocean. My father once asked my grandfather, "What is the most dangerous animal in the zoo?" My grandfather replied, "Why, it's the human, of course." Many of you must be thinking, what? What about the tigers, lions, and bears? They can eat you alive. As my father once said, our species' excessive predatoriness has made the entire planet our prey. The tigers, lions, and bears are not eating you because they are hungry or because they are mean. They are eating you because you have invaded their territory. You can probably tell from what I have told you so far that my family is very interested in animals. My father majored in zoology and religious studies at the University of Toronto. As I mentioned before, his father, my grandfather, owned a zoo. My father had been raised around many exotic types of animals. He is also very interested in religion. He is Muslim, Hindu, and Christian. My father was stranded on a raft in the Pacific Ocean. He was not fending for only himself. He was with a Bengal tiger. The story of my father's survival makes me a very proud son. I have the bravest father in the world, even though some people may not believe his story. My father, his brother Ravi, his mother, and his father were aboard a cargo ship on their way from India to Canada. When the ship sank, my father found himself on a lifeboat in the Pacific Ocean. He was with a hyena, an orangutan, a zebra, and a Bengal tiger. He had a strong connection with the orangutan. She had 2 kids, who she missed very much, just as my father missed his family. Eventually, my father and the tiger, named Richard Parker, were the only ones still alive. My father began searching for tools that would help them survive. They needed shelter, clean water, and food. He used a blanket as a canopy, began fishing for food, and found a solar device that turned salt water into fresh water. Why didn't the tiger eat my father, you ask? My father trained the tiger with a whistle and claimed his own territory on the boat. He understood that he was going to die soon, but his will to live was far stronger than his logic. He compared the weather in the ocean to the moods he was experiencing, and his life on the lifeboat to a never-ending chess game. My father was young. He realized that repetition is important in training not only animals, but humans as well. This knowledge became helpful later when he realized that repetition of his chores on the boat was necessary to keep him from going into depression. This next part of the story I'm about to tell you is very hard for me. I do not like to think about my father experiencing so much pain. My father was suffering from bad nutrition, and he eventually went blind. One day, he came across a blind French man who was also a castaway. He told my father that he had killed 2 people, a man and a woman. Richard Parker killed the man, and my father eventually got his sight back. Later they came across an island made of algae. On the island there was fresh water, fish, and fruit. It was too good to be true. My father and Richard were able to nurse themselves back to health. He stocked up the boat with fish and then headed off. When my father finally washed up on a Mexican shoreline, he was brought to hospital. Richard Parker ran away into the jungle. On February 19, 1978, my father was interviewed about what happened to him at sea. He told the story of the animals and Richard Parker, but the reporters did not believe him. My father then told a different story. The cook, a sailor, his mother, and himself were on the boat. The cook ate the sailor and then proceeded to eat his mother, and then my father ate the cook. When I heard this disturbing story, I did not know what to believe. In the end, the reporter chose to write the story about Pai Patel and the Bengal tiger. I'm very thankful that my father survived. He is an amazing father. He is always smiling and happy, but his eyes tell a different story. It makes me sad to know the hardships he experienced at sea will always haunt his thoughts and dreams. I don't think I could have survived that long on my own. I'm sure many people would say the same. He could have given up at any moment, but he didn't.